Welcome to the 700 Club. One of France's largest evangelical churches is named after an American icon. It's also a thriving community center.
Any way you look at it, the Martin Luther King Church is a foretaste of heaven. George Thomas traveled to Paris to see firsthand how this church is changing one of Europe's most famous cities.
In a communist, socialist, and conservative suburb of Paris, a song of reconciliation and unity is rising. And with it, a message that's attracting people from diverse backgrounds.
I don't have to build a church. I have to build a place where people will be loved, will be changed by the Holy Spirit and by the power of God.
I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream.
French pastor Yvonne Caluire founded Martin Luther King Church here in Paris's Créteil neighborhood, after drawing inspiration from the civil rights leader's message of unconditional love.
Loving people as they are, and don't try to make them look like you are, but just love them and introduce them to a God who will change them.
Every valley shall be exalted.
Like Martin Luther King, Caluire says he too had a dream to create a space where blacks, whites, and people of other racial backgrounds could come together and reflect the diversity of Paris.
When God asked me to ministry, he asked me to be a minister in Paris area. So when I came, I realized that more than 50% of the kids in Paris area have an African dad or mother. So more than 50% of the newborn babies are mixed, and I love it.
Caluire's dream is now a reality.
We have now like 20% all black, 10% all white, 10% Asian, and 60% cannot be defined. Jesus color.
And that message of love shared across racial lines has been a unifying force for positive change.
This is what I think is the most touching and most extraordinary aspect of this church. Everyone is mixed. All cultures are represented.
I've been here since the church first launched, and to see how much it's grown is amazing. The work is enormous, and it's a blessing to many people.
MLK is now one of the country's largest evangelical churches, prompting French newspaper Le Monde to call Yvonne Caluire a rising figure in France's Protestant movement. MLK, which is about 7 miles southeast of Paris, is rather remarkable for its size. You see, in all of France, there are about 2,500 evangelical churches, and the average church has about 100 people. MLK went from 17 years ago to over 3,000 people today.
Sur ta confession de foi, je te baptise au nom du Père, du Fils et du Saint-Esprit.
During a recent weekend service, 76 people from different walks of life and racial backgrounds professed faith in Jesus Christ in water baptism.
And we haven't seen so many people coming to Jesus like now. God is moving in France like never.
Evangelicals make up just 2% of the population here, and their numbers are growing. A recent report found evangelicals becoming a majority within the French Protestant movement. Caluire says the pandemic led to even greater numbers as new people flocked to the church's online services.
We already reach more than 30 to 40,000 every week. And when you look at Google Analytics, we see what is very good, that a lot of non-believers are watching
Because of the growth, Caluire says the church needed a bigger place to meet. So in September 2021, the new Martin Luther King space opened here in the southeastern suburbs of Paris. At a cost of $30 million, a foundation operates it as part church, part community center. And because of its community influence, Pastor Caluire says local government authorities were all too happy to chip in more than $3 million toward the building's fund.
That's why we can have money from the state, the government, the county, etc. They all give to the foundation. The foundation is the owner of the building, and the church rent the building.
Church services are held Saturday and Sunday in the building's 1,000-seat auditorium. The rest of the week, it's open to the community for rent. Companies have held fashion shows, car shows, and music concerts. Members of other religious groups have also held their events here. Caluire sees it as a model for people not typically drawn to a church building per se to be introduced to the gospel.
My goal for me is I want Jewish, Muslim, atheist, political, artists, all of them, they all need to be loved by God, to be transformed by the Holy Spirit, and to become loving of each other like Martin Luther King did.
In spite of its staunchly secular traditions, Pastor Caluire says God is on the move in France and takes heart in what he's doing in churches like MLK.
So now it's really a foretaste of heaven.
George Thomas, CBN News, Paris.
I love it. I love what he said. We're 20% black, 10% white, 10% Asia, and 60% the color of Jesus. A foretaste of heaven. When you read the book of Revelation, you see it. All languages, all tribes, all tongues, everyone coming together, singing as one, a new song to the Lamb.